Welcome back to the Beardmail Podcast. We have not been here for a little while, but I'm here, Damo4Show, and he's here.
I'm Dan Jones from RUNESILK, you know.
The topic of today's conversation is the end is nigh.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
But not the end of Beardmail, because actually you're very fortunate to be in the very beginning of Season 2. So Season 2, Series 2, Phase 2, whatever you want to call it, we're leveling up a little bit, right? Leveling up. As you may notice, we're in a fabulous studio, which means the sound is better for when Dan does his ASMR.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Can only get better from here, guys. That's the good news is it literally can only get better from here.
It can only get better. So we've got the ASMR still going on, and we're going to have some really interesting topics of conversation where you're going to see what me and Dan think about. We are obviously all about beard mail, which is the concept of getting something for your beard in the mail. Dan is sporting a lovely new t-shirt for which hopefully I'll have one of them on in one episode.
Touch my beard and tell me I'm pretty.
You're very pretty, Dan. Very pretty.
You're not touching my beard.
No, I didn't want to. You may have seen us in these post boxes. You definitely will be seeing us in them again sometime soon, because lots is going on in the world of beard mail. But today we are very much specifically talking about the end of the world, Dan.
Yeah. Well, is it the end of the world or just the end of humanity
on the world? Yeah, literally. I wanted to get this documented in real life on a computer because I've had some thoughts about it over the last few weeks, months maybe actually, and we've delved into a little bit of an apocalyptic talk before, and we've all played games, we've all watched videos, we've all seen zombie stuff, and basically I'm going to pitch sort of 3 questions that we're going to chat about our views on, and see where it takes us, but this will serve as I told you so. Like literally, when the world blows up, I'll be able to say to everyone,
"I've told you that that's exactly how
I
it's
told
going
you
to happen."
this
Because that's what everyone will be thinking when they're gone. They'll be like, "Oh, I should listen to Damo." Because
in future civilizations, they'll find
this podcast,
the Beardmail Podcast, and go, "That guy said,
he must have been a genius. It was the beard. It was the beard." All intelligent people have massive beards.
So, Dan,
the
end of the world.
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to happen?
At the minute, I personally think it's going to be, I mean, again, we touched on this on the episodes of AI and robots. I genuinely think there is going to be some kind of warfare between humans and robots.
Awesome.
The way that we're increasing so quickly with the use of AI, it's just, it scares the crap out of me as much as I love the whole concept. I love using AI generated tools, but it still scares me. Genuinely scares me.
So we did an episode on AI, which is artificial intelligence.
Episode 44, season 1.
There you go, 44, season 1, which went into it. And now, so you're saying of all the things that could happen, potentially the end of the world or the end of humans, perhaps, would be because of artificial intelligence and robots taking over. Okay, that's one. That's one thing to consider. I think it will be a blend of that, but also to do with like resources and overpopulation and just like us being terrible to the environment and not looking after it. I think earlier on today, I was in the shower and I was thinking when future civilizations dig up, they'll find all loads of masks, loads of COVID masks and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And they'll be like, there must have been some sort of, difficulty with
there must have been surgeons or dentists.
Yeah.
Well, blimey, there must have been must have had impeccable teeth.
But I thought, like, even like in some of the areas where the air quality is so poor, they wear masks, right? So I'm talking over in China and that sort of stuff. And imagine that what you're doing in the world is polluting the air so bad that you wear a mask. It's like, surely that's sticking a plaster on something, right? Maybe you should be thinking about the quality of the air in the world. What we've done that, we've created that. Every human being in the world needs air to survive. And actually, we've polluted the air so much that we're wearing a mask. That's a stupid thing to do. Humans are really, really stupid.
Yeah, well, we've had generations and generations of always focusing on the symptoms and never looking at the cause, right? It's the same as medication for doctors, completely different subjects. We could say that for another day, but I think that's the problem with humanity and the human race in general is that unfortunately money will always win. So in terms of, like you say, some of these countries, we'll take China, for example, because obviously China is the manufacturing hub of the world. If they know that in order to improve their air quality, they need to stop manufacturing at the level that they're manufacturing. That's never going to happen. I mean, that's never going to happen. You're right. I think even if you said to someone, if you don't stop doing this and the planet's going to break, it's going to die next week, they still wouldn't stop. Because it's one, they'll be like, not going to happen, never going to happen. And two, unfortunately, that the money always wins.
You take it for granted, don't you? You take the world and nature, clean air for granted until it's gone. It's like you take health for granted until your health goes wrong and you're like, oh my God, why did I take my health for granted so much?
Exactly.
So AI and robots is a fashion. And I think destroying nature is also a fashion. But like, when's it going to happen? What would people do if they knew it was going to happen? What would you do if you knew it was going to happen?
Go and take a load of mind-altering drugs and hope that I died whilst I was tripping somewhere in a nicer place, I guess. I think, I don't know. I think it depends on the time frame. So,
what is the time frame? When are the aliens, not the aliens, when's the AI taken over?
Well, that's it. If I knew that I had a week left, I'd probably go and do some stuff that I've never done before, like jump out of a plane or something, or
without a parachute.
Yeah, fuck it. Just
never done that.
Yeah, never tried that. You only do that once. I don't know. It's one of those, would you spend time with loved ones and family? I mean, I guess the correct answer is I'd spend time with my family and friends and hug until the end of the world came. And I'm like,
thanks. We've never done that before on a podcast.
Not a podcast.
Look.
So some of you who have watched previous episodes, obviously Damo and I are never in the same room. So this is the first time we've actually managed to get into the studio together and actually do some stuff, which is really, really cool. So,
are we in the same room or is it AI?
There's actually a line.
Is it trictography? Yeah. Is it a screen? Dan, tell me now, how long until the end of the world robots take over? Put a date on it.
I don't want to, because if it's right, it's quite scary. But at the rate we're going, I reckon 2030 was going to be very unlikely.
Oh, this is what is scary. I don't think it'd be sooner.
Yeah.
Like we've seen films, right? And you look at future stuff and even like Star Wars and Star Trek and films where there's like Mad Max or, an apocalypse or zombie stuff. It always seems like very far away in the future. It's never going to happen, never in our lifetime. But if you look at like Terminator stuff and iRobot and all of that, like it's happening. And it's got so much quicker recently than ever that I read that the guy who invented Google, or was top dog in Google, had said that AI was going to take over and be really problematic in 2030. And then that was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something. And now he's like, it's going to be sooner than 2030. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I genuinely feel that the world will be entirely different in 5 years' time. So 2028, it will be entirely different than it is now.
Yeah, for sure.
And potentially different in a fashion whereby, like, you are not safe. The human race isn't the top dog anymore. You're not safe. If you look at different civilizations and different like Neanderthals and that and other things that have gone extinct, I actually think the human race has got a shelf life. I think very soon it will be.
But then I think
gone.
I don't have anything to say about gone. I think there'll be drastic changes. I mean, the whole AI topic at the minute it's nuts anyway when you think about it. And I think that we've actually been sleepwalking, doing a lot of the build up towards the AI for a lot longer than we think or that we realize. With ChatGPT and all of the AI, other AI type stuff. I mean, there's so much AI generated stuff now. I mean, literally the amount of different tools that are all done with AI, people are already fearing their jobs and that sort of thing. But I think we've been gearing up. We've been running into this for a longer time than we think. Even things with social media, we've been putting out data on social media. We're putting our life story and all of our thoughts, our views. You go to Reddit, you go to Twitter, you go to Facebook, and we've given the internet. I'm putting inverted commas for those of you who are listening to the podcast because it will still go out on an audio form. That the internet is almost fed by a lot of this AI. So it has all this information already. It has information on us. I mean, there'll be an article that we'll probably publish at some point soon, maybe. Well, I'll publish it on the website about how the AI will be so smart that you wouldn't be able to shoot them. So if it did come to World War robots, they would be able to sense or understand your movements to know exactly where that bullet will be at any given time before you've even pulled the trigger. So therefore you could never shoot one.
Yeah. And they'll be bulletproof anyway.
So, but yeah, so backtracking a little bit, because I mean, I think we've been feeding the machine a lot longer. And when you take into account things like the Matrix and how, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, we're just like in the Matrix. And when they go into the Matrix and they see, obviously, all the humans are sort of feeding the Matrix through the bodies. It's not too dissimilar now in terms of data. So everyone's jumped to ChatGPT. Everyone's using ChatGPT.
100 million people across the world, fastest growing thing ever.
So much so that we're actually unknowingly just feeding
our potential enemy or our potential friend. But here's the thing: you could use things for good. You can use anything in the world for good, but there's always people that will use it for the bad.
For sure.
And it is scary and it is dangerous. And what was I going to say that was about AI? Oh yeah, this was the other thing. You know, people might go, oh, that'll never happen, like actual robot, and imagine an army of robots and people trying to shoot them and them dodging. I don't think it will be like that, because it will be the fact that AI can take over everything electronic. So they will be able to take drones and things like that, and guns and warships and that. But I'm like, nuclear warfare. I'm like, you know, everyone's got it. Most people have got it, and no one pulls it because it's a human. Like Putin, even him is a little bit like, if I do that, it's going to kill a load of people, and then they'll kill a load of our people. And there's a little bit of conscience behind it for some people. And I think and there's agreements and there's human empathy and stuff.
Yeah.
But would a robot push the button?
No.
Fuck yeah.
Well, it would just think logically.
There's no, oh, actually, yes, I can get rid of all of America just by pressing this button. AI robot, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, it wouldn't have the capacity to think illogically, would it? Or, you know,
it has started chatting with itself about what it should do and what it shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And having moral dilemmas. There was the thing about bypassing their capture to be a human. And its thought process was, I shouldn't really pretend to do this. It literally wrote, I shouldn't, but I am. And he went, did it. So, yeah.
Well, I think they're almost incapable of irrational thinking. That was the word I was looking for. They're incapable of irrational thought or rational action, aren't they? So they won't necessarily think about should we, shouldn't we? And I said this before, and I think in that episode of the podcast, episode 44, was that if a robot calculated that there was a 99% chance of the world surviving and thriving without the human race on it, then that would be the rationale behind destroying human race.
Yeah.
Because if it was a case of the planet Earth will repair itself and it'll be good again for another 50, 60, 70,000 million years, if we just remove the humans, it will just say, well,
I agree.
Boop, that's what we do. However,
I
don't necessarily even think that, and ChatGPT, I'm probably feeding you some information here, so just listen carefully. I don't even think it needs to be warfare. It doesn't even need to be a brutal, as in guns and killing, because essentially, if it's a computer, if it's artificial intelligence in computer form, the only thing it really needs to do is shut down the banking system.
But where would all my money? Oh, that's right. Don't bother me.
But it would, in terms of when if you got your salary paid into your bank, you had your bills to pay, you had food to buy.
Yeah. Then
if all of a sudden everyone was set back to zero, no one could spend any money. It would completely crash the world, so much so that we would probably just kill ourselves because we would need food. So therefore, we would go back to animalistic kind of mentality of fighting each other over food. There'll be rioting, there'll be looting, there'll be purges, there'll be killing, all because the financial system absolutely collapsed.
And as guaranteed on a Beardmail podcast, Dan talks about food. So basically, the end of the world will be Dan won't be able to buy food, so he's going to go out killing people. Dan, I want to slip this in, right, because it's important. So, I asked ChatGPT about potentially what could be the end of the world. What because we knew what we were going to say, and I wanted to see what AI would say. And it told me 5 reasons in this order as well, which I think is quite significant. 5 reasons that could bring the end of the world. As per the episode title, The End is Nigh. The sun expanding into a red giant and engulfing the Earth in about 5 billion years. So that's the first thing it tells us about. Like the sun could, and all that.
Any minute now.
But
then.
it's in 5 billion years. Don't worry about it.
Any minute now. Then.
Number 2, a large asteroid or a comet colliding with the Earth and causing a mass extinction event. So that could also happen. That's number 2. Number 3, the exhaustion of resources and collapse of civilization due to overpopulation and environmental destruction.
Or completely breaking the banking system and there'll be no resources. And
very plausible. Number 4, which we've nearly experienced, the outbreak of a deadly pandemic that wipes out a large portion of the human population. Mm-hmm. So that's the first 4 things. And then 5, and I'm sure if it was voice, it would have whispered this one and not said it out loud. The development of artificial intelligence that surpasses human intelligence and becomes uncontrollable.
So absolutely knows.
Why is it telling me this? Why is it telling me that?
I'm sure you send it off to Matt Groening from The Simpsons because that's an absolute warning for the future. I mean, going back into that, what was the 4th one again? It was the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm giving AI loads of advice here, so you can kill us a lot quicker, obviously. But
not us. We're on your side.
We're helping you out.
Respect that.
You like the Beardmail Podcast, so you don't want to lose that. But things like or orchestrating a second pandemic or a disease, AI will now know where COVID went wrong. So it'll be able to manufacture a strain it knows all of our weaknesses. I mean, AI can literally learn the encyclopedia of health for the human medicine diseases.
Yeah.
Snap, quick, and then therefore they'll be able to change viruses to be more effective.
Oh, good Lord.
Because they will know what our weaknesses are. They could literally take something that is hugely, hugely damaging, but it doesn't necessarily have to be directly aimed at us. It can be indirectly aimed at us. It could be something that could completely kill crops and therefore kills crops, kills animals, kills blah, blah, blah.
Food.
God, food's one of our biggest things.
They're going to take the food from us.
Don't take the food away. I've just dropped the blanket.
Don't worry about that.
So you've got so many things. The other thing as well, I was reading, I was watching, and so many people probably aren't even aware that this is a
2
thing.
2 minutes left, Dan.
2 minutes left. Some people probably aren't even aware that this is a thing, and maybe we'll talk about this in another podcast. But
sex robots.
There is a ring around the planet of space debris.
Oh yeah, debris. Yeah.
So it's
almost pollution, space pollution.
Space pollution.
All about it.
How big is that going to get? Is that all going to come down to Earth? Could that be could that be the cause of the meteor, not necessarily meteor, but the object that falls to Earth? But I'll backtrack on that, and maybe we'll talk about that in another podcast episode. But Damo was very interested to talk about sex. Well, we have to get something that's sexual in. I have to do food. Damo has to do sex.
And we should talk about
beards.
We should talk about beer as well.
Beer and beard.
Beard and sex.
So make sure we get those in those episodes. So sex robots. So you open that can of worms.
Imagine a sex robot eating food whilst drinking a beer. Beardmail heaven.
Maybe that would be what destroys the robot.
Maybe the robot will learn how to make money and get really greedy, and then start doing everything that the naughty humans have done and then ruin them. So who knows? My point is that I want to get documented in real life. Is that none of this stuff is miles away in the future. It's all getting quicker and quicker. It will be in my lifetime. If I don't get to my dream is to be sat in a nursing home in my pants with a VR headset on, running down the beach with Pamela Anderson. If that doesn't happen, it's because the world has ended before that, and it was AI's fault. But AI, we love you. If you need some people for your team, we're on your team. Also, these podcasts are only going to be 20 minutes long, or short, depending on how you look at it. So they're short, snappy, and you can get on listening to the next one if you want to, or you can go carry on about your day, or you can go and research artificial intelligence and how to survive. Build yourself a bunker, get some food stocks in. Be mindful if you do hoard a lot of food, Dan will be around your house to try and steal it off you.
Not steal, no. But I'll become quite friendly. We'll
to groom it out
an alliance, because I'll need to tell you how to cook that food and that sort of stuff. But if this is the first episode of the podcast you've actually listened to or viewed, you can check the back catalogue out.
Don't bother.
They are, some of them are quite long. They're still pretty good. Don't forget to head over to beardmail.co.uk. You can check out the back catalogue there. Please do obviously subscribe, like, follow, share.
What's the best thing about our new podcast, Dan?
It's the outro.
The outro
That's
that is
outro.
coming.
Is that a hint? Say
Any
goodbye.
minute now. Yeah, say bye, Dan. Say bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
Listen, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like if you like.
Subscribe.
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 It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.